They lied to you. They told you that to change your life, you'd need to win the lottery, quit your job, or wait for some miracle breakthrough that finally makes everything click. But what if the real transformation doesn't come from something big, but from something small, repeated daily? So small, it's almost invisible. This isn't a motivational video. It's a manual, a blueprint carved out of discomfort, discipline, and deliberate action. It's about how 10 simple, unglamorous habits, yes, the kind most people ignore, can completely rewire your thinking, rebuild your confidence, and put you back in control of your time, your emotions, and your future. No hype, no magic, just real change built through repetition, consistency, and the courage to keep a single promise to yourself every single day. In the next few minutes, you're not just going to hear about habits, you're going to be challenged. Because these are not tips to try, they're decisions to live by. And by the end, you'll see exactly how a new mind gives birth to a new life. But only if you're willing to start small and never stop. Waking up early. Waking up early isn't just about the clock. It's about beating comfort before the world even starts moving. Before the noise, before the phone, before the pressure, there is a sacred silence. And within that silence lives a forgotten strength, the meeting with oneself. That's where mental clarity is born, the kind that doesn't scream but whispers advice only heard in the quiet of the early morning. Many people think they need motivation to get out of bed, but what few realize is that real motivation comes after the act, not before. When you rise before the world, you rise with the world in your hands. Imagine that. 1 hour just for yourself, before the chaos. No notifications, no rush, just you, your journaling, maybe a bit of reading, and a cup of coffee that becomes your first small victory of the day. That's personal development in motion, simple, yet powerful. Now, if you want to start small, try this. Wake up 30 minutes earlier for 1 week. Use that time to do one single thing that feeds your mind or your body. It could be a quick read. Outwitting the Devil is an excellent place to start. Or just write down 3 thoughts in a notebook. The secret lies in repetition. The habit comes later. And the best part? When you master your mornings, you'll find yourself getting closer to mastering your life. But what comes right after getting out of bed might be even more important than waking up early. Making the bed. It may seem too small to matter, right? But making the bed is more than a mechanical gesture. It's a symbol. A simple act that marks the first decision of the day. I won't leave anything unfinished. That tiny action plants the seed of discipline first thing in the morning. And discipline, my friend, is the cement of any real transformation. It's how you build a solid routine, one small victory at a time. Think about it. When you make your bed, you're telling your brain, I started and completed something. As small as it seems, this activates an internal chain of productivity. Ever left home without doing it? That unfinished feeling follows you around. Now try making your bed every morning for a week, and watch how other areas of your life begin to organize themselves. It's not magic, it's repetition with intention. And beyond that, this habit teaches us to honor the minimum. Because when you can honor the small things, you're preparing yourself for the big ones. True self-awareness doesn't come from grand gestures, but from consistent actions. Making your bed becomes a daily reminder. If you can control your space, you can control your mind. And if you can do that, then maybe you're ready to face even colder challenges. Literally, cold showers. There's a certain kind of battle you can only win by stepping willingly into discomfort. Cold showers aren't just about physical shock, they're about mental conditioning. When someone chooses discomfort first thing in the morning, they send a powerful message to the brain. I am in control, not my feelings. It's a confrontation between comfort and commitment. And in that confrontation, transformation begins. You see, the water is always cold. It never gets easier. But that's the point. You learn to lean into resistance, not run from it. It's 1 minute of deliberate discomfort that echoes throughout the entire day. After standing still under icy water, a difficult conversation at work or a delayed train feels less dramatic. This simple act sharpens mental strength, cultivates resilience, and reinforces your ability to do what must be done, regardless of how you feel. Think of it like training your mind to say yes to challenges. You're not doing it to be tough, you're doing it to be prepared. Life throws cold moments at us all the time. Most people flinch, freeze, or flee. But those who've trained through habits like this, they stand, they breathe, they adapt. And once you've chosen to conquer that cold, lifting heavy things becomes the next natural step. Lifting heavy. When you lift something heavy, you're not just building muscle, you're building willpower. You're teaching yourself to push when everything inside you says stop. Lifting is a form of discipline that speaks in silence. No one applauds your reps, no one sees your sweat. But in every lift, there's a dialogue between your limits and your desire to break them. And that dialogue, repeated over time, reshapes who you are. Weight training becomes more than physical. It becomes a mirror for your mindset. It asks questions like, can you keep going when it hurts? Will you stay consistent even without quick results? The gym becomes a sanctuary for growth, a lab for personal development. You don't need fancy equipment or a trainer. A pair of dumbbells, or even your own body weight, is enough to begin. Push-ups, squats, deadlifts. Each one writes a story of progress into your nervous system. And as your body strengthens, so does your mental resilience. You start to see that the strength gained under pressure doesn't stay in the gym. It spills over into how you face challenges in life. Because if you can lift something heavier than yesterday, what else might you be able to carry? And while your body grows stronger, your mind begins to hunger for something too: knowledge. Reading 10 pages daily. 10 pages a day might not sound like much until you realize that's over 3,600 pages in a year. That's dozens of books. And more importantly, it's dozens of new perspectives, mindsets, and possibilities being planted into your subconscious, one page at a time. Reading isn't about finishing books. It's about feeding your mind with ideas that stretch, challenge, and elevate your thinking. Most people wake up and feed their minds with noise, social media, breaking news, distractions. But those committed to self-development choose to feed their mind deliberately. Even just 15 minutes with the right book can shift your mindset for the entire day. Try Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, or The Slight Edge. These aren't just books. They're tools. They're mental reps for your consciousness. And like lifting weights, the growth is slow until it's not. The magic happens through repetition and consistency. The more you read, the more your mind stops craving dopamine and starts craving depth. It begins to replace reaction with reflection, chaos with clarity. And when the mind is properly nourished with new knowledge, it naturally seeks out space to think, to create, and to build. Which leads us to something even more powerful than consuming information: producing deep work from it. 1 hour of deep work. Imagine what you could accomplish if your focus was undivided, even for just 1 hour. That's what deep work is: a sacred block of time where focus becomes a weapon and distraction becomes the enemy. 1 hour of intentional, uninterrupted effort can do more for your life than 5 hours of half-hearted multitasking. In this space, productivity is multiplied, and your mind becomes a tool, not a battlefield. To experience deep work, you must first reclaim your attention. That means phone off, notifications silenced, and a clear objective in front of you. No scrolling, no email refreshes, just you and the task that matters most. Whether you're building a business, writing your book, learning a new skill, or simply journaling with purpose, this hour becomes a daily contract with your future self. And here's the truth: you don't find time for deep work. You make it. Start with 1 hour a day. That's it. Maybe first thing in the morning, before the world invades your peace. Or late at night, when the noise settles. Create a ritual. Same time, same place. Your brain will learn. This is where I go to create, not to consume. And once your mind adapts to that rhythm, you'll begin to crave silence. Not out of avoidance, but because you've discovered the power of focused creation. And ironically, it's in that silence that your best ideas often begin to walk in. Daily walks, no phone. There's a kind of clarity you can't Google. You have to walk into it, step by step, distraction-free. Daily walks without a phone are like meditation in motion. No calls, no podcasts, just you, your breath, your thoughts, and the rhythm of your feet. It's a simple habit, but it creates space for something rare: inner dialogue. And in that space, self-awareness sharpens like a blade. You don't need a forest or a perfect trail. Your neighborhood block will do. What matters isn't the scenery, but the silence. Because in silence, your thoughts rise to the surface. Problems untangle. Ideas arrive uninvited. Your mind stops reacting and starts reflecting. That's where creativity hides, in the space we rarely visit. And it's only when you disconnect from noise that your brain finally begins to speak in full sentences. Make this walk a daily reset button, a break from inputs, a time to reconnect not just with nature, but with yourself. You'll start to notice patterns in your thinking. You'll start hearing that quiet inner voice again, the one that gets drowned out by screens. And when you start keeping these little appointments with yourself, you'll feel something shift. You'll start keeping your promises, too. Keeping one daily promise to yourself. There's a kind of confidence that no external validation can give you. It comes from keeping your word to yourself, not to others, to you. And it doesn't start with grand gestures. It starts with one small, intentional promise each day. Something so simple it's almost too easy to skip, but powerful enough to rebuild your self-trust from the inside out. It could be drinking a full glass of water before your coffee. It could be 10 push-ups, 1 page of journaling, or 5 minutes of silence. The action doesn't matter as much as the follow-through. Because every time you keep that promise, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. And over time, those small promises compound, just like interest in a bank account. That's how personal growth works, not in bursts, but in layers. Most people are great at keeping promises to others, but break them to themselves without blinking. And that's where self-respect erodes. But when you reverse that, when you become the kind of person who follows through, you walk differently. You speak differently. You stop looking for motivation, because integrity becomes your fuel. And when your word holds weight with yourself, writing it down becomes more than a habit. It becomes a sacred reflection. Journaling. Journaling is where thoughts go to find structure and where authenticity gets a voice. It's not about writing perfectly. It's about writing honestly. Some days your mind is clear, other days it's chaos. That's okay. The page doesn't judge. It just listens. And in that quiet conversation between pen and paper, you start to understand yourself in a way the outside world never could. You don't need fancy prompts. Just start with what's real. Today I feel, or right now, what's bothering me? That's enough to open the floodgates. When you journal daily, patterns start to emerge. Your triggers, your tendencies, your truths. You begin to see how discipline and distraction tug at you, how your mood changes with your habits. It's the kind of self-knowledge that therapy costs hundreds for, but costs you nothing if you commit to a few minutes a day. And it's not just for processing emotions. Journaling sharpens mental clarity, tracks progress, and helps you stay in alignment with your goals. You can track your promises, reflect on your routines, or document your growth. Every page becomes a snapshot of who you were, and a clue to who you're becoming. And when you make peace with your thoughts on paper, suddenly, you start to see the wins that were there all along, waiting to be recognized. Writing 3 daily wins. Success isn't built on perfection, it's built on progress. And writing down 3 wins at the end of each day is how you train your mind to see that progress, even when it feels invisible. They don't have to be big. In fact, they shouldn't be. Maybe you drank more water. Maybe you didn't skip your walk. Maybe you didn't quit when you felt like it. Those are the real victories, the quiet ones that no one applauds, but that change everything. You see, the brain has a bias toward what's missing, what went wrong, what didn't get done. But when you reprogram your focus toward what did go right, you create a mental loop of momentum. Over time, this builds something more powerful than motivation. It builds gratitude-fueled discipline. You begin to associate your routine with reward. And suddenly, your habits stop feeling like chores and start feeling like wins. Make it a ritual, right before bed, a notebook, or even the Notes app on your phone. 3 things. Every night, you'll start to sleep better. You'll feel more grounded. And when life gets heavy, that list becomes proof that you're still moving forward, that you're still in the fight. Because in the end, transformation isn't loud. It's built quietly, in cold showers, early mornings, deep work, silent walks, and in noticing the wins no one else sees, but that you carry with you. So now I ask you, what's stopping you? Not next week, not next year. Now, are you really waiting for the right moment to start living the life you say you want? Because here's the truth, the right moment never comes. But the right habits? Those you can build starting today. What would happen if you committed to just one of these habits for the next 7 days? What if you gave up the scroll for a walk? Traded 5 minutes of distraction for 5 minutes of journaling? What would your life look like in 30 days, 90 days, 1 year? You already know the answer. You felt the gap between who you are and who you could be. And the only thing standing between those two versions of you is repetition. Let this video be your line in the sand. The moment where wishing ended and doing began. If it stirred something in you, don't let that feeling fade. Comment below and tell me which habit you're starting with. Let's build this together. And if you're serious about rewiring your mind, rebuilding your routines, and redesigning your life, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and come back for more. We're just getting started.